Well, good morning. How are you all today? Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I am Steve Smith, and we're going to talk about something that I don't usually talk about. We're going to go down a road that I don't usually travel, and that is the depth of the corruption in government, the deep state, the hidden hand, all this kind of stuff. And are we seeing another head of this monster popping up? And that is, I want to talk about Epstein and Cash Patel and Dan Bongino. Did you see the interview with Patel and Bongino where they said that they believe that Epstein committed suicide? Well, we've been probably a lot of you did, maybe some of you didn't. I didn't until I saw a squib of it on Brandon Tatum's channel, Officer Tatum, and he played a squib of this to where both of them said that Epstein committed suicide. Now, if you've been with me for a while, I have touched on, well, the fact is I left government service because of the corruption. Simple as that. Depending on what units you're in, you will see less or more corruption. The more specialized your units, usually you will see the depth of the corruption. And I saw what I call the monster. I saw the depth of the monster so much I wanted no part of it, and that's why I got out. Government is formed to serve people, but it grows to the point to where it sees its role as controlling people and the purpose of the people to serve them, the government. I saw it too much. Well, this was a surprise to many because we had been promised this thing with Epstein. We had been promised that we would see the Epstein files, right? Just like we've been promised that we're going to see some other things. And I'm not going to get all over that. I know that a lot of people in the preparedness world are all upset about, oh, they promised to show us this and show us this and show us that and everything. Well, there are reasons why some of these things can't be shown, and some of them are good reasons. Not all of them are good reasons, but some of them are good. Back in my day, we shared nothing with the people, and it wasn't we were trying to hide. It was just that a matter of proper investigative technique that we didn't share all this stuff. It wasn't necessarily the people's right to know about every crime that happens in the world. But when it comes down to this stuff, I think it's a little bit different. So we were told that Epstein, we were told that we were going to get the whole information. And most of us felt that there was no way in the world this guy killed himself, right? No way in the world. I mean, how do all these things happen at the same time? The cameras aren't working. Both guards are asleep. How does he kill himself in his cell? I mean, there's a number of ways, people do it. I mean, it does happen. But for all of these things to come together, there was just too much there. It was just too tidy, right? Just too many coincidences. And when you have a high-profile person like him, usually these things they don't happen. They're not allowed to happen. So let's go from the interview of my thoughts on the interview of Patel and Bongino. And then work our way back from that, okay? Tatum said something exactly right, and I agree with I agree with a lot of what he said. He and I parted ways when he tried to excuse the Uvalde police down there, but other things, I'm with him. He said that Patel. Now Patel's kind of a hard one to see. He has this very intense, demeanor and all of this, and I think he's a good guy. I've got his book. I haven't read it yet, Government Gangsters. And when he came out and said that he had seen all the evidence and Epstein did kill himself, and the delivery of that statement just caught me off guard. I mean, well, it didn't. Let me put it a different way. It didn't catch me off guard. It set wrong with me. I said, I don't. I mean, I made my living figuring people, by how they talk and how they act. I said, no, that just doesn't seem right. And then Bongino sitting there right next to him, and Bongino, maybe, well, um, Tatum put it. He said it looked like a hostage situation, and being made to say things you don't believe, and he did. He looked like a hostage. Uh, I've seen the file, and he, I forget, he said killed himself or committed suicide. I've seen the file and the whole file, and he committed suicide. You know, it's like a hostage saying what he's supposed to say, but through his demeanor trying to send the message, I don't believe a word of what I'm saying, right? So 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 I don't believe that a bit. Let's work backwards and say why this might have happened. Now, some people are saying, well, this just proves that they're part of the deep state. Patel and Bongino are part of the deep state. I don't really believe that. Or that they've been turned. Yeah, maybe. Or that they have been convinced of the importance of carrying on this tale of Epstein killing himself. Now, why would that be? Let me take a sip and then I'll tell you my thoughts. Okay, you got a guy like now when we could also go into Biden and his cancer situation on this. But when I first heard this, and Kelly and I were talking about it, and I said, well, I think there's a good possibility that Epstein is still alive. That all these things happened, cameras down, guards asleep, and you have a special group of people going in and taking Epstein out of his cell and taking him someplace else, right? And in my mind, I think there's a great possibility he is still alive, being interviewed extensively. And they could have made a deal. I know. Hey, I'm not saying this is right. It is disgusting, but I'm saying this stuff happens, guys. This stuff happens. Remember, it's a Bin Laden thing. Oh, we buried him at sea. We dumped him in the ocean, right? I don't believe that for a minute. Bin Laden he's alive somewhere. And in my opinion, so is Epstein. So they took him somewhere. They saw how much stuff he had on so many people, and they said, well, Epstein, what's his first name? I don't know. I forget. Well, Epstein, we're going to take you to this. We're going to set you up, and we're going to put you on a little island somewhere, and you're going to sing your song to us for years, and we're going to keep you here, and we have all of the tapes, and we have all of the communications, and we have all this, and you're going to fill volumes, of your song, and we are going to use this. Now we're going deep state. We are going to use this to control all of the people in your files, and these are the decision makers. I mean, he had the big dogs, right? He didn't have Trump. Trust me, he did not have Trump. So he's off singing this, and while Bongino and Patel, who I believe went into this, as true believers, and I'll say something about Bongino. I like Bongino, but I don't think he was a good pick for assistant director of the FBI or deputy director, whatever they call him. I don't think he was. I think he's a smart guy. I think he's probably a pretty good investigator. I think he was probably an excellent Secret Service agent. I'm sure he was a good cop on the street. But he is aggressive. He is a little too aggressive, a little too bombastic. He is too volatile for that position. Okay, I want somebody who is just as dedicated as that, but somebody who thinks very carefully and doesn't put it out all on Front Street what he's thinking, right? Okay, So I don't think he was a good pick for that position. Just my opinion. Uh, and so I think that he and Patel, who I also think is a a true believer, I think they were convinced that by the people, the powers that be, the people who have Epstein, that more good is going to come, or more bad, whatever it is, that the story is going to remain that Epstein killed himself. They can go along with it, or they can try to buck the system, and their lives are going to change drastically, and not in a good way. And these people can do that. And I think that and it was Bongino's behavior that really made me think this. Patel, he's a different animal himself, but Bongino gave it away. So that's what, and it's the same thing. I'll stick in this thing with Biden and his cancer too. You think there was, the first thing that Kelly said, my wife, is that you think he's been dead for years? And now they're just, they're using this. Oh no, we just now discovered this, aggressive cancer, because now they're gonna say that they're gonna play this out, and all of a sudden we're gonna find out in a few months that he's died, but he's has been dead for several years. Who knows? What a great story that would be, right? I mean, we know that other people were running this government, and now so many of the pardons that apparently were signed by AutoPen are in dispute, and that'll be interesting, right? uh, I had a different thought about that, and that is, excuse me just a second. And my thought was that, well, he didn't pardon himself over all this stuff, and whether that was a mistake or whatever, that this is just setting him up, to not be indicted and prosecuted. Bringing just like that stupid interview with her, who I think was in the bag, saying that, well, we can't indict him, we can't prosecute it because he's an old man with a faulty memory, and it would look bad to do that. When has that ever been? When has that position ever been used against anybody else? Mobsters or anybody else? Well, they're frail and they're old, so we won't prosecute them. I know you all know that. So that was my thought on that. That they're just setting it up so he won't be indicted and prosecuted. Who knows? But back to Epstein. People think, and I see on other channels, they talk about the deep state, and they really don't know how deep the depth is. They really don't. And I will say right now, I don't either. And I've told that story before. When I was in operations, I thought I knew the reasons for the things we were doing. I'll make this brief. When I went to the next step, I realized that operations had no clue as to why they were doing the things they were doing, but that now at this next level, I knew why things were doing it, and then I went to the next level, and then I realized, whoa, a couple of things. Operations doesn't have a clue. They're serving a purpose that they don't know. The second level of up there that I thought knew the reasons, they didn't know either. There was many more things going on. Deep and wide, and so now I realized I probably didn't know, and I didn't know how many layers there were above me. There's no way that you know this stuff, or how many layers there are below you, okay, and as to the deep state. So most people don't have a clue as really how pervasive this is, or how deep things go. But that's my opinion on this stuff. And even though I don't usually talk about it, I thought I'd talk about it here because I think that we are going to see the ramifications of Epstein in ways that we won't even know came from that. And it's a matter of control. And here's the thing. We have no clue as to who's controlling things. I know there's a lot of people who think they do. I don't think they do. They don't. They don't have a clue. Because they're not because the people who know aren't talking. Okay? I don't know. I mean, I know quite a bit. I know more than most, but I know enough to know my limitations and to have a sense. Let me just put it that way, a sense of how much farther it might go, and it goes beyond my ability to see it. So what's the whole point of this? The whole point is that these are things that are beyond our control. It's beyond my control, beyond your control. It's not anything to get all upset about, all incensed about. We need to pay attention to what we're doing in our lives. We need to understand that there are forces at work in the world, both spiritual, but, well, you could say that everything comes spiritual. There are forces at work in the world that do things we can't begin to understand. We don't know what's coming. But what we can do is be responsible for preparing ourselves so that pretty much whatever happens, we're going to be able to separate ourselves from the ramifications of these things. And that is separating ourselves from dependence on, like I always say, dependence on all those external systems over which we have little or no control. Okay, be your own provider. Whatever happens in the world, whether it's a grid down, whether it's a nuke strike, whether it's a CME, whether it's a martial law, whether it's the shutting down of the communication systems of the banks or whatever like that. I know I'm throwing all this in a big basket, but that's what we need to prepare for. That's what you need to prepare for, right? We need to be prepared for anything and everything, while understanding that we don't have a clue as to what the anything and everything could be. Okay, I know. So give us some specifics, Steve. Well, specifically, be self-reliant, be your own provider. Get to the point, or try to get to the point to where you can live totally independent of everything else. I know it's difficult. Most people will say it can't be done. I say to them, they're right. They won't get it done because they don't think they can. For the rest of the people, work towards it. Do your best. If you're not doing your best, you're not doing what you should do. And not only will it help you, prepare for when something happens, it'll improve your life today. Okay? Hey, you want to know how to prepare? In my opinion, I wrote a whole bunch of books on what I think is the absolute best way to prepare for anything, a total collapse of everything or whatever you might be. And that is what I mentioned before. Our sponsors, the Stonemont series, my books. I told you could get them through Amazon. That's right, they get them to you fast, but I want to tell you about a better way, and that is directly from me through our website, stonemont.us. Now, I want to tell you something about that, kind of a good thing and a warning about that way. And that is, the good thing is that I get to sign them for you. I autograph them, write a little note into you. We give you a discount because when we ship them as a whole set, which you can buy them as a set through the website, you can't do that through Amazon. When you buy them as a whole set, we save money on package and handling and shipping and everything like that. So we pass that savings on to you. So you get a little bit of a price break on that. And then also we toss in the Stonemont notebook for you to write all of your ideas and everything. Yeah, and when you read these, you'll want to take notes. You'll want to take a lot of notes. Here's where you should take them, okay? And questions you might ask me. So that's the way to do them. The warning is we are running several weeks behind in getting these out to everybody. I'm in the process of getting out the last shipment that we just got in. It takes a while for me to sign them and get them all packaged up and ship them and everything like that. But we're working our way through there. Have another order coming real soon. So you won't get them as fast as Amazon. You have to be willing to wait a few weeks, and then they'll be showing up in your mail, and you will be glad. They're worth the wait. You'll be glad you waited, okay? Because also, when I get the orders like that, when I get to sign them to you with your name and everything, it makes me, I like the fact that I have a relationship with my readers like that. And so if you want to do it like that, I love it. Okay, well, that's my spiel on Epstein and Patel and Bongino, and things are going on that we don't know, don't understand, but don't get wrapped up in it. And what we do understand is it is up to us to prepare ourselves for whatever comes, right? Under the good Lord, and ask for His direction, and then do what He says. And like Charles Stanley always says, do what God tells you and leave the consequences up to Him, right? Okay. Well, you all have a good day. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And we will see what we will see. Have a good one. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.